Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about student groupings. Students can be organized in different ways. They can work as a whole class, in groups, in pairs, or individually. Well, students' groupings will have influence on the degree of productivity, friendliness, and so on. And we, as teachers, have the responsibility in our hands to decide which student grouping is the best for our students, taking into account learning styles, skills to be learned, complementary personalities, student interests, students' strengths and weaknesses. And I'm going to talk about solo work. It is when students work alone at their own speed. It can be more useful for lower level students because it allows them to work at their speed without pressure of classmates. In this slide I have some advantages about this student grouping. And the first advantage is that it is easy to focus on the task. When you are alone doing a job, it becomes more convenient for one to concentrate properly. Interruptions are as well much less when the person works alone. It becomes easy to focus. If a student is in a group, he or she could get easily carried away while conversing. Work becomes less productive as the group gets more involved in chatting, gossip, and so on. It builds learner autonomy, skills of self-reliance and investigation because students take responsibility of their own learning. Students enjoy of a quiet and peaceful atmosphere rather than noisy and chaotic environment. Well, we know that working in groups is noisy because students have to talk to do their tasks and so they make noise. But if a student works alone, there is no need to talk. Then the student can enjoy of a quiet environment. It makes fellow students less stressful than being in a big group because they can work at their own speed and nobody can tell him or her, hurry up. It promotes independence. Since the sole responsibility will be with one student, they will also learn to make their own choices. Since the student is not working in a group, a student cannot hope to get any help or suggestions from any other person. Consequently, the person would learn to do the task on his own. And more advantages, there is no need to distribute the task. That means if the student is opting to work individually, he or she would not need to distribute work equally among the others in the group. There will also not be any confusion like at the time when someone is given more work to do in comparison to the other. Teachers respond better to individual students' differences because teachers who work with one student have more possibilities to focus on their student learning styles or the kind of intelligence that the student has. So the student can learn better and the teacher can choose better the didactic material. And the disadvantages about solo work. And the first disadvantage is there is no cooperation and motivation since they work alone. It doesn't help students to have a sense of belonging. It takes more time to complete a task. That means a student might take longer to complete or to do the task. We all know that to complete a homework is easier when done in a group because there are more classmates contributing to it. However, some students like to work alone for various other reasons. The student who is working alone has to come up with ideas on their own because there would not be anyone else to share or come up with their ideas to complete the task. Too much stress. Completing a work is time consuming and involves a lot of stress. Since a student is working alone, completing an entire task can be heavy. At the same time, if there is a group of people involved in doing the task, they can share the work equally among themselves. It can be boring. When a student is working alone, could get bored because he or she doesn't have anyone to talk to or even share ideas with while on the task. And another disadvantage is that there are not many skills. It is understood that not even the most competent student can have all the skills to do all the tasks. However, if a student works in a group, he or she can find a group of students with a variety of skills to help complete a job, so they can do a better task. And then I have class-to-class student group. That is when teachers are able to join two classes so that they can interact with each other. And I have some advantages about it. That is, students can share their knowledge and discuss with each other. This because every student has different life experiences, so they can discuss about that and enrich their knowledge. Another advantage is when students with higher level are joined with the students that have lower levels, they feel motivated to help them. It is good for discussion or lectures, and when it's well organized, can give students a sense of satisfaction. The disadvantages is it is difficult to use this kind of student groupings because of the size of the classrooms. Lower level students may feel intimidated by higher level students. It can take a long time to organize it. Well, class-to-class interactions are good for surveys, where students can work with the students they don't normally interact within the English lesson. To conclude, how much use we make of group work, paid work, or solo work depends to a large extent on our style and on the preferences of our students. But it also depends to a large extent on what kind of learning task is involved. Good teachers are able to be flexible using different class groupings for different activities. As they do this, they can assess which ones are the most successful for which types of activity, so that they can always seek to use the most effective grouping for the task in hand. Thank you very much.